Is being recorded.
So welcome to the April 8 OpenJ9 community call. As usual, please add your name and affiliation to the list just so we know who's joined the call. This week we don't have a lightning talk lined up, but we do have two lined up for the next two upcoming calls. Babneet will be talking about the foreign memory access JEP from JDK 14 next week. And the week after that, Keith will be talking about the debug symbol support that's been added recently in our builds and to the adopt builds as well. So two upcoming ones scheduled. There's more options lined up here that I still need to work to get scheduled. But if people have other ones that they'd like to get started, please add that into the list. Or if anyone wants to volunteer to grab a topic, feel free. We'd love to get those launched off. So I'll pause here for a minute, as we always do, to give anybody a chance to raise any community questions or general discussion points. All right. Then let's take a quick look at the user raised issues. We'll see what ones have come in recently. There's a question here around method handles lookup behaving differently, where I've reached out and asked for some clarifying questions and whether there's a test case we can use. The SSL routines errors, I'm not familiar with this one. Okay. All right, so this looks like an issue with the OpenSSL support, and that the appropriate people have been tagged, so that's good. Thank you, Peter, for jumping on that. This combined use of Groovy JSR 223 co-test in OpenJ9 leads to an exception. It looks like Cheng has run that down and found a possible solution and been working with the user Danny SK to get that resolved. So I believe there's a patch available and possibly a PR being opened soon. In terms of the remaining things, these were all opened prior to the last meeting. So I'm just, if there's anything in this list of items that needs to be called out, please mention it now. All right, then we'll jump back to the agenda. Project Valhalla overview, I think, is a great idea. I don't know who added that, but if the person adding that is interested in giving that talk, that would be great. You can either reach out to me directly or stick an update here in the item. Okay. Andrew, have you had a chance to update the graphs?
So we've got a problem with that at the moment. I think I mentioned it last week or before. So with the change of the APIs at Adopt, the tooling I had to do this is now not reporting accurate figures because of the change to the version 3 API. So we're currently getting the -v2 tracking board, which is listed at the bottom there, to be extended to report the figures that we're wanting here. So that work's in progress, a bit more tricky than we expected. But I hope to get it done in the next couple of weeks. Good luck. It will then be more consistent because it will be a community provided trend board.
Thanks, Andrew. I just took a note there. Okay. Okay, so then what I'm seeing though is that we have stopped updating these for the time
Yes.
being. Okay.
Yeah, because they had become inaccurate, and I think the wavering of the lines at the end of these was part of that inaccuracy.
Okay, so we don't know if the upward trends and the increase of OpenJ9 downloads compared to Hotspot, whether that was a continuing trend or an accurate trend. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. Yeah. Although, I mean, to be honest, they were fairly even off. But it's hard to say how accurate that was. So, yeah, basically what you say is accurate.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Then we'll skip down to the release. And just want to note that the 020 release is very rapidly coming up on the expected GA date, which is April the 14th. We've been in discussions with the Adopt community around including ARch64 as an early access binary. And from our point of view at OpenJ9, it looks like it should be no problem. And the Adopt community has very gratefully been working with us to be able to put those builds in the release and flag them with the early access tag when people are using the website to download them. So they'll be able to see that we've included this platform and that it's an early access platform. We'll also show that using the Java version and the file name as well, so that it'll be clear to users that the ARch64 platform is early access. But there are currently no blockers in including that in our final builds. So that's a great place for us to be with that.
Just a point of clarification there, Dan. I expect that it will be in the Java minus version, but not the file name, because that comes from the release tag, and it will be in the same under the same release tag as all the regular platforms.
Okay, thanks, Simon. So last week we have an issue with the Windows print issue has an OMR fix, but currently blocked. Has that particular issue been looked at, or has it been evaluated to determine if it's safe to get in this release?
It has gone in.
Sorry, Pete, did you say something there?
The fix has gone in.
Good. And as we discussed last time, the JIT server work is already done, so I can remove that. And the JDK 14 builds for milestone 2, we had talked that there was an issue with 390 related to connectivity and disk space. Has that been resolved? Did those builds get completed?
I'm not sure if there's actually been problems since then. Pete, have you had?
This would have been at Adopt,
Yes.
and the builds were completed, I'm pretty sure.
No, there was everything was fixed. Yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right, so it looks like we're in reasonable state for the 020 release. I'm just going to pull the milestone up and make sure that there are still 14 items here. A large number of these are ARch64, which we've been trying to get the last bit of fixes in that are particularly ones that are low risk and only apply to that platform. There are, I believe, 3 others at this point.
Yes, the top one is just a reminder to myself. I was hoping to make a doc update. I'm not going to make any code changes, and then I'll be moving that forward. Include ARch64. Obviously, we're doing that. That one is a problem on all platforms, but it only shows up on AArch64. I don't think there's going to be any fixes at this point, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
The AXOOMs, I've got the fixes all ready to go, but the perf team was supposed to be doing some runs, so I haven't asked for reviews of the changes to go in. The changes have already gone into the headstream, so I don't expect any problems with those changes going in for AIX.
Okay.
And then update OpenSSL. The current plan, there is a 1.1.1f version of OpenSSL, but it doesn't contain security fixes. It only contains bug fixes. And since we're not aware of any problems, I said that we shouldn't update to it for this release.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Pete.
And then all the rest of the AArch64 should be moved out of the milestone by the end of the week so that we have a clean milestone plan.
All right, excellent. All right, that brings us then to the 021 release, which I have put some tentative dates in based on what I've been able to find for the GA date for this quarterly update at OpenJDK. OpenJDK, which is July 14th. So I've based the milestone dates off of the dates that we used for 020, basically picking the same time frame back and the same kind of code split. So that means that we're looking at a code split for the next release of June 1st. And when we take a look at that milestone plan, we have 42 items that are open and in this milestone plan right now. And so this is a request to all committers and contributors to be focused on trying to burn down this list. It would be really good to get this closed as early as possible so that we're in a more stable state and have less changes going in once we do that branch. On that same topic, we continue to reiterate the request made last week that we focus on particularly the issues that moved at a 020 so that we can get those closed out for 021. There were a number of items that moved sort of late in the release plan, and it would be good to get those finished off and closed out. And to take an extra bit of focus on the user-raised issues and anything that's producing a crash right now, just to get those cleaned up and have that be the major focus for at least the next 2 weeks. So please share that message broadly with committers and contributors as we try and burn down those particular issues and all the things in the 021 milestone. Any other comments or discussion on the release plan? All right. If we can get the regular update for adopt.
So just noting, you'd already mentioned the EA release for AArch64. The PR is ready. Needs to be tested, obviously, but it should be a small change if it doesn't work on the release day. Just also to note, patches to build JDK8 Mac on Xcode 11, which is required for signed notarized builds, is sitting in a branch in OpenJDK 8, JDK8U, our mirror. This is the plan for us is to carry these patches in that mirror for the upcoming release because they won't make it into the upstream build in time for next week's release, and we want to have notarized builds available. I do have the question because I know this is the hotspot set of changes. I wanted to ask where are we at with the changes on the OpenJ9 side?
That's a really good question, and I don't have a clear answer for you right now.
It would be good to offer both hotspot and J9 notarized builds. So for next week. So maybe we can follow up after this meeting with that. And then just a note that the V2 API, it's been deprecated. Some additional tracking is being put in place to understand better who's remaining users of it, so we can help accelerate its removal because it's not as stable as the V3 API. And we want to speed that up if possible. Those are the top three I was going to mention today. I don't know if anyone else on the call had any additional things they wanted to add. Stuart or Simon?
No, apart from the M2, the only thing we've really been doing is trying to sort out this, how to present an EA build for AR64 that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Interesting what you say about the JDK notarized builds, so I don't know how different we are in the extensions repositories, the hotspot changes.
I was about to ask.
Keith was looking at it, but I haven't heard a recent update, so I think we want to follow up. Because I would like to see both implementations offering that if we're going to be doing that.
Yeah, so I've pinged Keith, but I don't know how long it'll take for him to get back to me. But I'll try and get an update or have him stick an update in the OpenJ9 Slack today.
Cool. Thanks. That's all for now then.
Do we have an update on the state of our machines? Adam or Joe?
Joe. AIX machines, we got our replacements in, and I was actually just stepping to make sure that they were actually used in last night's builds, and they were. We had both JDK 8, 11, and 14 100% clean passing, and those machines are looking good. As an other business topic, I put down at the bottom, we need to discuss when I can actually return these, the older systems. Let's see what we have planned for the next week or two is to get GCC 7.5 on our AR64 machine. OpenSSL 111F for Windows. That's all I have to add.
Something happened to our Jenkins server last night.
Yeah, it looks like it restarted or it reloaded its config.
Yep. I don't know if that was intentional or wrong.
I don't know. I only noticed because all the machines that I had marked offline came back online.
Well, our builds, we didn't get, the builds didn't finish.
Is that what, maybe that's what happened with the reports on 8 and 14 then?
Yep.
That makes sense. I was wondering why the summary report didn't print out.
Is there further investigation that needs to be done on this, or is it like a one-time blip and nothing, no further action required now?
I'm not sure how often they go out. How often has it gone offline lately, Pete? Well, I guess we can reach out and ask if it was planned. I don't have access to see any of the logs, so I don't know what might have happened.
Yeah, we can either reach out now or we can wait and see if it becomes a blip again. I don't have a strong preference on which way we go with that.
I'll wait and see what happens. I have to push a change for the AIX stuff, so it's usually Fred that touches and merges my changes. When he touches it, I'll know I'll have his attention. I can ask then if it's I'll have a channel to ask him.
Okay.
It's still an issue.
All right. then we'll move down to the website. The website update. Sue, is there an update here?
Yeah, I think things are shaping up. All the pages are now developed. They don't necessarily contain everything on the wish list. As an example, there was quite a long list of things for the performance page, and we've got some of them there. I think we're in a position now where we could, what we've got today is better than what we have. We could go through a review cycle, get it out there, and then make incremental changes later on to add in the final bits and pieces. So what I was going to suggest is that I invite people via the Slack channel to go and have a look and make comments. We'll then have a formal review with the project leads to make sure that you're happy with what's there. And then we'll be in a position to move it to production. When we get to that point, just as a heads up to Adam Brosseau, we're going to need some infrastructure work as part of that. Now, I think there is a request floating around somewhere in the system, and we're pretty sure what needs to be done to change the pipelines and the build jobs that will push the site to Eclipse, but it will need some of Adam's time to make that happen. I think we're probably looking at a couple of weeks before we get to that point. Does that sound like a plan for everyone?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'll be happy to come along. I can demo the website at probably not next week because we're right in the middle of the release, aren't we? But maybe the week after.
Can I tentatively schedule you in for, just let me pull up a calendar for a second. I think we have one on the 22nd. So would you like to be able to, does April 29th work for you, or is that getting to be too far out?
I was about to say I've got a holiday plan, but in the current situation, I'm not sure I'm actually going to be taking it, although we are being encouraged to take our holiday anyway. I'm off, I was supposed to be off the week of the 20th, so yeah, either before or after that. Oh no, before, after, yeah, 29th, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, then I will schedule in for a lightning talk. Perfect. Thanks, Sue.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Then we have a couple of things on the any other business. There was a question, I think, for me last week about if we were posting slides anywhere for the lightning talks. And so far, I've been posting the videos and leaving it up to the authors to determine whether they wanted to post slides and where to do that. But I think connecting them to our blog post would be great, even if that's, you know, a link from the blog post to SlideShare or equivalent. The next item on the any other business was when can we return the 10 AIX systems? Joe, I think that was what you were mentioning above.
Right. Yeah, typically I like to have a days of overlap week, just to we're not under extreme pressure to return these systems yet. I just, if we don't need them because they're proven, at what point do we decide the new machines are good enough where I can get rid of the old ones?
So we do have the release next week. Can we hold on to them through next week?
Yes, that's not a problem.
So as soon as we get through the release, then we can return them.
What day are we aiming for release? In case someone asks me.
So the changes should show up late Tuesday. If we get a chance, we'll start a lot of builds Tuesday night. And say by Thursday, hopefully we'll be done and everything will be moved to adopt. We'll be waiting for adopt.
Right.
So next Thursday.
Okay, great, because I had it in mind next Friday.
I mean,
Of course, that's where we'll play it by ear. We'll see how that goes.
in reality, if we get through all the testing on the weekend with the new machines, then I can't see us needing the old machines, but we might as well wait till Friday just in case.
Yes, as I said, there was no pressure to dump them right away. So
The old machines and the new machines, are they both hosted at the same place?
no, it's apparently the same or affiliated team that's managing them. They're both coming from IBM, but these ones are actually out of Raleigh, whereas the other ones were out of Toronto or Poughkeepsie.
I'm just slightly concerned right now if there is an issue with the machines that would require somebody to go and do something to them. Is there a way to get somebody in there to do that, or should we be holding on to the old machines for a little bit longer than we normally would, as a backup in case we lose the primary ones?
I'm not sure how to answer. They're going through IBM Cloud, so there's a service contract for them, right?
Okay, then I'm happy to give them back if we've got a service contract there.
Yeah, it was the same with the original PDP ones. We had a service contract. If there was a problem, they'd fix it. So yeah, they're not in the same boat as our UMB ones, where it's we're basically on the hook ourselves and don't have access to them. So these ones we're actually paying money for. So there's a service contract.
Okay. So then I think the answer here was the Friday after the release. Okay.
Right. And I should have, while I was doing the machine updates, I should have given a little bit more information there. We are running dangerously high on Artifactory. So this is the next item on the out of business. We are at 96%. We're looking for some suggestions as to further cleaning. Adam's already reduced it to 40 days of backups, and we have a daily cleanup task that's running, but it's not cleaning up much. So somewhere in there, we might have had, I don't know, either there's just a lot of individual artifacts. I remember on another call I was with Pete, he said there might possibly be some grinders that needed to be deleted.
Yeah.
Basically,
I had a Slack conversation with Adam last week when we talked about this and laid out a bunch of things that we could do, getting rid of grinders that were older than a certain date and reducing the number of builds we keep in different categories. But I don't know that any of it's been done. Maybe I should get online with Adam again.
So the way the cleanup is actually working is every single build is all set to the same 30 build rotation. At some point, we had got our wires crossed, and I thought that the log numbers were being used for the Artifactory artifacts as well, but it seems they're completely separate. So the log numbers are used just for the logs on Jenkins, and the artifact numbers are only using the 30 number. And then we used to have a weekly cleanup based on 50-day cutoff. So anything over 50 days was deleted. I've since changed it to run daily, but it's still at 50 days. Early this morning, I ran it at 40 days, and it did clean up 600 more artifacts. But that space doesn't seem to have come back yet. So I don't know if the machine just needs to reclaim it or there needs a reboot or something. But I was proposing that we could change it to 40 days instead of 50 days. If we wanted to look into actually making that 30 number different for each type of build like we do for logs, then that would be more work we could do if possible. But the 96% seems to have leveled off, or it's getting close to leveling off, but it is pretty close to 100. So
I think we're waiting. The system tests for AIX were failing nightly and collecting a lot of players. We'd have had some big artifacts there. But
look at that one. I looked at the grinders.
yeah, I was also doing a bunch of grinders.
Grinders didn't seem to be a problem, but
I don't know if we can afford to wait for the 40 days to time out. Maybe we should switch that to 30 and run it again for more cleanup.
grinders are only using 6 gigs right now. Sorry, you said the other one was nightly AX.
AIX extended system testing.
On 8 or 11 or everything, or
11 and 14.
4 gigs on 8.
So Adam and Pete, can I suggest that you guys connect on Slack?
Sure.
It probably better use of everybody's time if we call the meeting here and let the two of you work through that in more detail. So thank you though for the focus on that. It is important. I will stop the recording now and we will meet again on April 15th. Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.